If this is your first time stopping by Annie's Blue Couch, welcome! Here on Annie's Blue Couch, I am all about inspiring, motivating, and encouraging you to be your best self. I want that with every single video that you take the time to watch. You walk away from the video feeling empowered to walk in purpose, walk on purpose, walk through purpose to your destiny. Now, for today's conversation, I want to talk a little bit about marriage. I want to give you 9 questions that every woman should ask before you say I do.
It's time to exhale and be motivated. Annie's Blue Couch. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, to all of you, Annie's crew. Welcome back to the Blue Annie's Blue Couch. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. Now, before we get into today's conversation, I want to remind you to please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. Now, I want to say, please turn your notifications to always. I'm going to be trying out some new days because my schedule is shifting a little bit, and I just want to make sure that whenever I upload a video, whatever day of the week that it is, that you don't miss out. So make sure to set your notification to always, and of course, share this video with at least 2 of your friends. So for today's conversation, I want to talk to all the ladies, all the single ladies, okay, that's not good. That's not good. All my saved people are going to be like, oh my God, she's singing Beyonce. I'm sorry. Okay, so I have 9 questions that I want to share with all single women that are looking to get married. I have a couple of friends that are getting married this year. Shout out to all the lovebirds out there that are getting married. It seems like 2021. Wedding bells are ringing. But so I came up with these 9 questions that I think every woman should ask before they say I do, so they don't find themselves stuck in a situation. Now, next week, I'm going to be doing this same concept of questions that every woman should ask, but it's going to be specific to Christian women. So make sure, tell all your Christian friends, share this video with them, because these questions are relevant whether you're Christian or not. And then next week, we're going to do part 2 specific to Christian women, because we have certain questions that we've got to ask before we say I do. So let's get right into today's 9 questions. Question number 1, are you married? I know, seems absolutely ridiculous, but you need to ask this question. You need to ask this question immediately. Are you married? Not everyone has a problem with having a side piece, but I'm certain you don't want to be a side piece. So make sure you ask that question up front. Now, question number 2, have you ever been married? And if so, what happened? Why aren't you married anymore? This is a very important question. And this question is not about holding anyone hostage to their mistakes or to their past, but it's really about understanding where someone has come from. And also it gives you an opportunity to challenge that person to make sure that they have actually grown, matured, and learned whatever they needed to learn after making those mistakes, so that they wouldn't make those mistakes with you. You want that your relationship lasts. So make sure you ask the question, have you ever been married? And then if so, what happened? Why is it over? Question number 3, and I think this is a really important question, and I'm not necessarily sure that when you ask the question, you can guarantee that an honest response is going to come, but I promise you, this question is not a question that someone expects. So their hesitation or how they choose to respond can kind of give you insight as to whether or not the words that are about to come out their mouth are true or lies. So question number 3, when you get angry, what happens? This is very important to know. Are you about to marry a thrower? Someone who throws things when they get upset? Are you about to marry a yeller? Someone who screams when they get upset? Are you about to marry someone who distances themselves? Someone who completely shuts you out, shuts down, goes into hiding for a while until they're no longer angry? This is an important question to ask. So certainly ask, when you get angry, what happens? No relationship goes without disputes. So you'll probably see what happens anyway, but it's kind of a good question to ask and see how that person responds. It helps them to be accountable for their actions up front, right in the beginning. It helps them to kind of check themselves. Wait a minute, how do I respond when I get angry? And is that response appropriate? So this is a really good question to ask. Question number 4. Do you want kids? Okay, so maybe you may not ask this question on your first date, but it's certainly a question to ask, especially if you don't want kids. Or if you really, 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 really you are dying to have children, and you find out that this person absolutely 100% does not want to raise a kid. It's important to know this up front. And the thing about all of these questions, why I say before, and it should be long before you get to the point where the person is proposing to you, but you really want to start these dialogues and begin these questions before you get emotionally invested, because then at that point you begin to settle. At that point you begin to accept things that you would not have accepted before your heart and your emotions got entangled. So it's really important to ask these questions before you say I do, and certainly before you even get emotionally entangled. Question number 5. What's your plan or take on disciplining children? I think this is a really, 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 really important question, because you may be marrying someone who is old school, or you may be marrying someone who is new school. And depending on whether you are old school or new school will determine whether or not this combination of parenting styles is going to create friction in the relationship, whether or not it's going to set a tone of disunity in your household, or whether or not the two of you are meant to raise children together. It's a very, very important question. You should ask this to your future spouse before you say I do. Question number 6. What's your relationship like with your parents? This is really, really important. And this question kind of develops into other things, because from this question, you'll find out whether or not their parents are still together. You'll find out whether or not the example that their parents set was an example that they look to want to emulate, or they look to want to completely reject. It's really important to know, how is this man with his father? How is this man with his mother? What is his level of respect for them? How is he managing and handling that relationship? There's a scripture in the Bible that says that once you get married, you leave your parents and you cleave to your spouse. Are you marrying someone who has no intentions on leaving the relationship with their mother or father and now beginning a new relationship with you? This is something very, very critical to get into, because will their parents be part of the decision making for your household? Are you okay with that? Are you not okay with that? You want to know up front, what's your relationship like with your parents? Question number 7. What are your plans for your life? This is a really critical question, I think. I know I keep saying that all the questions are critical. That's why these are the 9 most important questions that every woman should ask. They're all super critical. There is no right or wrong answer, but asking the questions helps you to gain perspective and understanding on the deeper parts of the person that you're about to be with. The answer to question number 7, what are your plans for your life, is all about, does that match your plans for your life? If you want to travel the world and this person is a homebody and really just kind of wants to be planted where they are, they have no intentions on moving from where they are, or the person has this massive dream, it's a passion from the time that they could remember the ability to think, that they wanted to, let's say, move to Saudi Arabia and build wells for children, so that, I don't know, just something crazy. Do you want to move to Saudi Arabia? Are you trying to be a dream crusher? Let this person go now so that you can find the right fit for you. We don't want to kill their dream, and there's nothing wrong with their dream, but if it doesn't match your dream, then you have to let this person go. And the reason why it's so important to ask these questions up front, again, because your emotions get involved later on, and then you begin to settle, and then your life adjusts, and you find yourself in Saudi Arabia angry and resentful, because that's not where you want to be, and you knew you didn't want to be there from the beginning. But had you asked that question early on, when you weren't so emotionally attached, you could have easily cut the relationship then. But you asked it too late. Now you're engaged, and now you feel like you can settle for this. And when you get to Saudi Arabia, things are going to change. Question number 8. Do you have debt? Again, this is not one of those questions. It's not, I mean, it could be a deal breaker for you, but the whole point is to know, because when you get together, when you get married, depending on your financial goals for your marriage, most people combine things, and your name gets on their stuff, their name gets on your stuff. You're now going to be responsible on paper for the things that they have, and likewise, they will be responsible for the things that you have. Do you want to be responsible for all of this debt? Is debt a deal breaker for you? Maybe it's not. It would be for me. But you want to ask this question so that you know what you're getting into. Maybe you are phenomenal with finances and you can help this spouse. But if you're not, then this can become something that drains the relationship, something that weighs heavily on the relationship, and certainly causes the relationship to crumble and fail. So you want to ask, do you have debt up front? What kind of debt? How much debt? Question number 9, and this is my final question to all the women that are looking to get married. Please ask your spouse this final question before you say I do. What's your expectation of a wife? I really understand this. You're asking this person, what's your expectation of a wife? Again, there are no right or wrong answers, because there is somebody for everybody. And what that person expects, there is a woman on this planet who will happily do that. So this is not about diminishing or devaluing anyone's expectations. It's about knowing it up front and asking yourself, can you meet these expectations? Maybe there's compromise that can take place, but generally speaking, can you meet these expectations? Do they want you to be a stay-at-home mom because they want you to handle the house and handle those things, and you don't want to do that? You don't mind having kids, but you don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. You have an entrepreneurial attitude, and you are building and creating and moving in life, and you do not want to be stuck in the four walls of your home. Or maybe you do, and you don't see it as a stuck in the four walls of your home. You see it as a privilege and an honor, and you want to do that. And this person wants you to be the secretary for some major business that they're doing. It's really important to know what's their expectations of a wife, because when you don't meet those expectations, there's going to be a lot of friction, a lot of discord, a lot of problems, and it's going to lead to epic failure. Well, there you have it. 9 questions that I think every single woman should ask before you say, I do. Now, don't forget, next week is going to be the Christian edition to questions women must ask before you say I do. So come back next week for the Christian edition of these questions. Until next time, remember, you are beautiful, you are special, your smile is amazing, and don't let anyone or anything ever make you feel less than who and what God has designed you to be. Annie's crew, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Bye for now.
Annie's Blue Couch.